4.
You will hear a lecture from a professor in a biology class about bowerbirds. First, you have some time to read through questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
So today, I'd like us to focus on birds that collect objects, sometimes referred to as collector birds. These include such species as ravens, crows, and magpies. But first, I want to discuss bowerbirds. Male bowerbirds are very well known for gathering objects such as colored stones, feathers, shiny or metallic items, and even flowers and leaves. But unlike ravens, crows, and magpies, the male bowerbirds don't collect these objects just because they strike their fancy. Found in Australia and New Guinea, these gardener birds actually use the objects they collect for a specific purpose. The birds were given this name because of their habit of creating yards, gardens, or structures decorated with their collected items. So, the male bowerbirds construct shelters made of sticks, grass, leaves, twigs, and other debris collected from nearby trees. These shelters are known as bowers and are then decorated with the collected objects, so they are usually very easily recognizable. It's important to note that the bowerbird structures look nothing like nests. They are actually more like buildings than traditional birds' nests, many with walls, roofs, and pathways. But there is variety in the types of shelters they build. Researchers studying bowerbirds have now categorized the bowers into 3 different classifications. First, there is the mat or platform type of bower. It's usually an elevated pad, and the male bowerbirds put decorations on top of it or around it. The platform bower's design is fairly simple, but it is often lavishly decorated to make up for a lack of structural complexity. And then, the next type is the maypole bower. It is sort of a tower that's built around a small tree, but many have been known to reach heights of up to 9 feet. So the scale and complexity of construction is quite a bit more impressive than, for example, the platform bower. The maypole bower is also decorated with bits of collected treasure, although less extravagantly, as the structures themselves are quite attractive. The third type of bower has 2 walls that run parallel and sort of create an archway. These are called avenue bowers, and what makes them very striking is that the bowerbirds will even spread gravel around it to make a yard or a garden area. It is interesting to note that these particular types of bowers are often purposely located near attractive trees or shrubs so that they are in attractive surroundings. Avenue bowers are tent-like in structure, and like the other types, they too are decorated with feathers or other colorful debris. But, like other collector birds, the bowerbirds can be very aggressive when it comes to these collected treasures. Often, male bowerbirds will attempt to steal attractive objects from other males in order to make their own structures more attractive. Naturally, male bowerbirds are very protective of their bowers and become quite aggressive when thieves attempt to steal their treasures. So, Let's look at the reason why the male bowerbirds go through all this trouble to build these structures and decorate them so elaborately. Well, it is all part of their mating ritual. The little homes are decorated in order to attract female bowerbirds and convince them to move in and become a mate. The female birds will come and inspect the bowers, and if they like what they see on the first visit, they return a second time to see if the builder is home. They check out the bowers again as well as their suitors. Male bowerbirds often perform a dance of sorts and urge the females to move into the well-decorated structures. And females will then decide whether or not they will mate with an interested male suitor. However, at this point, we come across a very interesting situation. Some female bowerbirds are more drawn to an attractive male with lots of colorful plumage or feathers, but with a rather simple bower with minimal decoration. Others are drawn more to a fancier structure and perhaps a less attractive mate. And so we do tend to see males that are less eye-catching build structures that are quite elaborate and intricately decorated. Attractive males, on the other hand, don't put as much work into their bowers. But then we do occasionally see less attractive males who don't put much effort into their bowers at all, and often they end up mateless. And vice versa, we occasionally see attractive males building very well-decorated structures, and they can end up having several mates. Okay, now let's carry on with crows and ravens, which are...
That is the end of Part 4. You now have 1 minute to check your answers to Part 4.